Yeah, welcome in. Let's get this thing going on a Thursday. Rarely do we do this, but Ben Fletcher, Sammy along with you. John and Jim coming up at 2 o'clock today. Welcome to the party. Rarely do we do this, but we do have a guest to kick off the show today, and we do this for special guests. And Miles Heide, superstar on this San Diego State Aztecs team, coming off a tied career high, leading the Mountain West in offensive rebounds this year, top 30 in the country. Miles Heide, the sophomore for San Diego State, jumping on the show bright and early today. Miles, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on, guys.
We're doing great. It's an honor, really is. We've been fans of your game all year. Sammy's been sitting courtside for most of these, right next to Uncle Teddy. And, Miles, you've taken a big step forward this year. You talked about it openly in the postgame show last week with John Schaefer. You talked about the fact that your confidence has come a long way this year and that you've been able to feel a little bit more comfortable. Tell us a little bit about how you've been able to do that so far here in 2024 and 2025.
For me, it was just going back to what I've worked on for years now, getting back to the gym every single day instead of just taking off thinking that everything was going to get better over time, just take matters into my own hands and continue to work on what I've worked on in the past and play off that.
Now, you're originally from up north in Seattle, Miles, and you've made this move down to San Diego. You've obviously been here the last couple of years. I was curious, and I want to get to know you a little bit better, but who of the last 2 years and really your entire life have you taken the most from, whether it's coaching or players? Because you've had some pretty good examples here in San Diego between Jaden Ledee, Lamont Butler, Nick Boyd this year, Darion Trammell last year. You've had some pretty incredible senior leadership on your Aztec teams, but is there anyone else in your life going back that's really given you kind of the basketball 1-2?
I've obviously learned a lot from Jaden. Him being there for me my first year was kind of just like learning the ropes, and learning how physical some guys can be, obviously. I would just say my dad he played in college, so he was always there to help me if I ever had questions about how things go and how to move forward through adversity.
Miles Heide, power forward on this San Diego State Aztecs team this year, true sophomore. I'm curious about your relationship with Jaden. I really am, because from what I've heard from Coach Velasquez and Coach Dutcher over the last 2 years, Jaden was just a different animal when he got in the gym. And Miles, I don't know if you noticed this, you're a little bit more muscular this year than you were a year ago. How much of the off-the-court training regimen did you take from Jaden Ledee and his work ethic off the court?
He's one of the hardest working guys I've seen. He was in the gym before me almost every single day, and then he'd be in there after practice working on stuff. So I definitely learned a lot from just him leading by example. So I take that, just like be able to work every day just like he did. And obviously guarding him in practice is
a nightmare.
Something you got to prepare for, mentally. But just being able to watch him grow throughout the whole year was good for me, because I could just see myself being that same way eventually, So that was the biggest thing, was just learning from him, watching what he does and how he operates on his day-to-day.
Miles, you were excellent in the game against New Mexico the other night, especially with the Bagoon-Guath injury. How was the front court? Have you guys really felt like their biggest development all year has been?
Farrell, me, Jared, Goon. I love Goon, and it sucks that he's out, and I hope they the speediest recovery, But, it took all of us to step up. It couldn't just be one of us in the last game. So we knew what the goal was, and we just went out there and took it.
You talk about guarding Jaden Ledee in practice, Miles, and really when you look at Nelly Joseph Jr., probably the strongest guy you've had to guard since guarding Jaden in practice. What kind of a challenge was that? Dutch obviously had a bunch of different game plans in there for one of the more dominant players in the Mountain West, but that's really 2 games against him this year where he hasn't done a whole lot of damage against San Diego State. What goes into stopping a guy like Nelly Joseph Jr.?
Well, we knew as our game plan, we knew his impact and how well he is on the floor. He averages a double-double, so obviously you have to try to take away one or the other, either the rebounding or the points. So and we try to do points, fronting him in the post and try to limit his touches was our goal, and we just stuck to the game plan that the coach preaches.
Miles, I know, everyone in the team post game talks about the crowd, how great the crowd is in the victories. But if you're being honest, do you like getting a win in front of the home fans, or do you like being the road villains, going and stopping someone on their home floor?
I always love being with people on their home court. It's just tastes a little bit sweeter. But I love our fans. I'm very grateful for them. We wouldn't be here without their support. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just giving them their props and keep going.
And as a player, it's kind of tough because you got to take things one game at a time. And as a fan or as somebody who's covering the team, we're always looking forward. We're looking at what's next. And like getting over New Mexico was such a huge hurdle for you guys. And it was a massive win. It really was. But now you got 3 games left in regular season play, 2 of them on the road. This next one in Wyoming, which historically is one of the toughest places to play in the Mountain West. We talk about elevation so much, Miles, and it feels like it gets overrun in the media. But you personally, what does the elevation of playing at a place like Wyoming, which I think is the highest elevation in all of Division I basketball, what does that do to you physically as a player? Do you even notice it?
You definitely notice it. Your second wind feels a little less shorter, but it's how you prepare for the game going into it. We drink beet juice, so that definitely helps with the elevation, as everyone knows. So that's one of the things we do to prepare. Up there, it's more of mental than it is physical. You're going to get tired, but it's how well you want to and how much you want to push through it. So.
Miles Heide, the sophomore forward for San Diego State, joining us today on the Fletch Zone. And Miles, don't worry, out of solidarity with you guys, I am making Sammy Long drink a bunch of beet juice between now and Saturday's game so that he's ready to go with the elevation just like you guys are. The offensive rebounding for this team, it's been a bonus at times this year, and it's been a little bit lacking at times this year. But Miles, you yourself, I don't even know that you know this, you are tops in the Mountain West in terms of offensive rebounding per 40 minutes of play. You're top 30 in the country. Is that a part of your game you specifically focused on this past offseason to try to get better for this year, or are you just opportunistic?
Growing up, I always knew that rebounding was a strong suit of mine, so I feel like that's something that I bring to the table. Even if it's not scoring points, doing all the blocks and stuff like that, I know that I can go out there and just read the ball the way it bounces off the rim and try to go get as many offensive boards as I can. But it also takes physicality as well, too. You can get boxed out by guys that are same height, same weight as you. So it's definitely just like a physicality thing, and like you want to rebound out your area and go get as many offensive rebounds as you can.
Miles, we saw you and the whole team have a lot of success early in the year when you guys are playing kind of back-to-back games against Creighton and Houston. Is there something to be said for heading into the Mountain West tournament here in a couple weeks? Is there something to be said for having to play so quick on a turnaround, or is that kind of a disadvantage?
They always say it's a disadvantage in AAU, but it's to be around your team more. When we're gone for longer away games and double headers like that, not double headers, but back to backs, is you just with your team more, so you spending more time together, which I always like. I wouldn't say there's a disadvantage or advantage with that. It's just once you win one game, you got to be able to prepare for the next one as fast as you can.
All right, let's talk about Wyoming a little bit, Miles. And Miles Heide is joining us this morning, or this afternoon, I guess, on San Diego Sports 760. But, Miles, that first game against Wyoming, I was actually in attendance, sitting a couple rows behind Jimmy Butler. Didn't even know he was there until after the game. But, Miles, you look at that game, you were up a little bit, down a lot, and then a huge comeback, which has become really customary for this team, these big second-half comebacks. And you're able to win the game. You were kind of winning it going away before some last-second craziness where they got like 8 points on 2 possessions. But what challenges did they pose you when you were here at San Diego? And we know that's going to be amplified on the road. How have you guys taken to the film study, to the practice court to get ready for Wyoming in round 2?
Basically just sticking to the game plan that our coaches are preaching. They're a good shooting team. They don't have a lot of size, but they use what they have very well. So you have to respect every opponent you have. Their coach is good. I know that. So we just got to go in there with the same mentality as we did with New Mexico. Is go in there and homecoming.
Miles, you guys, we've been talking about kind of all year how you guys have played in a lot of close games, and some people have criticized it, but I know Fletch and I have talked about how that could really benefit you guys down the stretch. Having being a sophomore and played in a lot of games, do you think that playing in tight games really helps you when it gets to tournament time?
You're just more used to the tight situations and that every possession matters. Throughout the game, every possession matters, but those last couple ones, they do matter more. So. With that being said, obviously it's nice to have some experience with that. You do want to win as much as you can, though, and by as many points as you can.
Good stuff, Miles. We appreciate your time today. Good luck the rest of the way in conference play, and hopefully we get a lot more games after that. The way it's set up right now, probably going to be 3 games in the Mountain West tournament if you guys keep winning, and then who knows after that. We'll see what happens with March Madness, but I know the plan is for you guys to be playing for a long, long time here still into early April. Appreciate your time today. Congrats on the season you're having so far. Go get them Saturday. We'll all be rooting you on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, love to do it, man. Anytime. Miles Heide, sophomore with his Aztecs team, taking some big steps forward here in year 2 with the program.